Welcome to this Values Ed Majorship Enhancement Drills. This is Set 3. Teacher Doms po, and I'm here to help you pass the board exam. Teachers, to benefit greatly from this drill or set of drills, I highly suggest that you download the PDF format of this set or answer the drills that are available on the website. Just check the link below the description. For this set, please set your timer to at least 100 minutes. And then after you finished answering, come back here and check your answers. Now, go on and answer the drills first. Okay, I'll just be here waiting for you. Now, I presume that you are already finished answering the drills. Let's go now and check your answers. And what is our goal? That's right, to top the board exam. Analyze each item carefully and choose the letter that represents the best answer in each item. Number 1. Which of the following statements defines gender equality? A. Valuing the roles of girls and women more than those of boys and men. Promoting stereotypes of men and women in society. Overcoming barriers to unjust relations of men and women in society. Promoting prejudice in favor of boys and men. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option... Yep, it's option C. Options A, B, and D are all opposite to principles of gender equality. Gender equality means that the rights, responsibilities, and opportunities of individuals will not depend on whether they are male or females, handicapped or able-bodied, young or elderly, white or black, taga-probinsya man o taga-syudad. So, according to UNICEF, gender equality is the concept that men and women, girls and boys, have equal conditions, treatment, and opportunities for realizing their full potentials, human rights and dignity, and for contributing to and benefiting from economic, social, cultural, and political development. Therefore, gender equality is the equal valuing by society of the similarities and the differences of men and women and the roles they play. It is based on women and men being full partners in the home, community, and society. Equality does not mean that women and men will become the same. Hindi naman dapat na magkapareho kasi magkaiba naman talaga. But that women's and men's rights, responsibilities, and opportunities will not depend on whether they are born male or born female. So, gender equality is a matter of human rights and it is considered a precondition for an indicator of sustainable people-centered development. So, options A, B, and D violates the core principles of gender equality. So, the answer here is option C. Number 2. Why are girls more likely than boys to miss out on secondary education in the developing world? A. Girls by nature do not like schooling. Girls are suited only to do household chores and mother roles. Belief in girls' superiority over the boys make it unnecessary to send them to school. Traditional practices such as child marriage restricts girls' mobility and freedom. What's your answer, teacher? The answer here is option... That's good. This is an indicator of social inequality in some parts of the world, especially the patriarchal societies. Their social customs encourage or force girls into teenage marriages and early childbearing. You can search sa Google yung mga lugar o bansa na until now, they are still practicing this teenage marriage. So number 2 is option D. Number 3. The issue of violence against women viewed from a gender perspective recognizes that societies are generally violent on women because of their weak nature. Male violence towards women is instinctive. Women have to accept a certain degree of violence. Violence against women is a manifestation of prevailing unequal power relations between women and men. The culture of violence is already ingrained in society and women cannot do anything about it. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option. Yup, it's option B. Another issue in terms of social inequality. Sa napakaraming tahanan saan mang bansa, parang normal na lamang ang pananakit sa babae kasi karamihan tinitingnan ito bilang bahagi ng buhay may asawa, lalo na yun sa mga mag-asawa, di ba? Di ba? Napakaraming mga nanay ang grabe ang sakripisyo, kadalasan ang sinasabi nila, titiisin ko na lang lahat para manatiling buo ang aming pamilya. O kaya, titiisin ko lahat alang-alang sa mga anak ko. Diba, nagiging normal na lang halos at tinatanggap na lang ng napakaraming mga kababaihan. Napakarami pa rin ang ganitong kaso sa ating bansa. Kahit sabihin na bumababa na ang bilang ayon sa istatistika, marami pa rin biktima kung tutuusin. Kaya nga, nagkaroon na ng mga batas katulad ng Republic Act 9296, yung Anti-Violence Against Women and Their Children Act of 2004. Saka yung Republic Act 11313 or Safe Spaces Act, yung Bawal Bastos Law, para mahinto at malabanan yung mga sexual harassment na tahimik na lang na dinadala ng mga biktima. So, number 3 is option B. Number 4, which of the following best defines the concept of peace? A. Absence of war or disturbance. B. State of tranquility and calmness. Process of adjustment between people. D. Absence of conflict and existence of justice. What is your answer, teacher? Well, actually, all of these are parts of the concept of peace. The concept of peace states that peace is a state of tranquility or absence of disturbance or agitation, absence of violence or war. Peace is a process of adjustment between what people groups or states want, can, and will do. It is based on a consequent balance of powers and involves a corresponding structure of expectations and patterns of cooperation. So peace is a condition where social justice exists. So the best answer here is option D. Number 4, option D. Number 5, which of the following manifests political and legal inequality? A. Women are poorly represented at all levels of formal decision-making in society. Unequal access to resources by men and women. Stereotyping and prejudices against women. Violence against women at home and in workplace. What's your answer, teacher? The answer here is option. Yep, option B is an example of economic inequality. Option C is gender inequality. And yung option D is social inequality siya. So number 5 is option A. Number 6. What year was the Declaration of Human Rights adopted? A. December 10, 1948. December 1, 1894. December 8, 1974. December 10, 1898. What is your answer, teacher? Yeah, the answer here is option A. The UDHR, or the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, is a milestone document in the history of human rights. Drafted by representatives with different legal and cultural backgrounds from all regions of the world, the declaration was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly in Paris on December 10, 1948, under General Assembly Resolution 217A, as a common standard of achievements for all peoples and all nations. Yung option D, December 10, 1898, mahalagang petsa rin ito kasi ito yung Treaty of Paris. The Treaty of Paris between the United States of America and the Kingdom of Spain ended the war between these two nations. So the US paid Spain $20 million for possession of the Philippines para tayong binili ng US mula sa Espanya. So the US also took control of Puerto Rico and Cuba from Spain. And then the rest is history. So number 6 is option A. Number 7, which of these cases could be won using the Human Rights Act? A. You are told at work one day that you cannot wear a turban or sari even though it is a part of your religion. You have a relationship with your principal and both of you are consenting adults. Your principal has been interfering with your emails and telephone calls and checking up on what websites you visit. Your principal forced you to teach a subject which you do not like. What's your answer, teacher? Number 7. The answer here is yeah, it's option C. Kasi sa Article 12 ng UDHR, yung Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the Article 12 affirms that everyone has the right for privacy. So, number 7, option C. Number 8, which organization has decided on making the culture of peace its top priority? A. UNESCO. B. The United Nations Children Emergency Fund. The United Nations Association in the Philippines. And letter D. Peace and Human Rights Center. What is your answer, teacher? Yung option A, UNESCO, it means United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. Based in Paris, and it is founded on November 16, 1945. Ang UNESCO, it contributes to peace and security by promoting international cooperation in education, sciences, culture, and communication and information. UNESCO develops educational tools to help people live as global citizens, free of hate and intolerance. It works to ensure that every child and every citizen has access to quality education. It strengthens the bonds between nations by promoting cultural heritage and the equal dignity of all cultures. It also fosters scientific programs and policies as platforms for development and cooperation. It stands for freedom of expression as fundamental right and a key condition for democracy and development. Yung option B, UNICEF, the United Nations International Children's Emergency Fund, na ngayon ay, of course, kilala na sa the United Nations Children Emergency Fund. Its mandate is No Child Left Behind. It upholds the rights of all children. It ensures that every child is protected, healthy, and educated. So, UNICEF's mandate is part of the larger mission of the United Nations. UNICEF is founded on December 11, 1946 in New York City, USA. Yung option C, the United Nations Association of the Philippines, is a national civic, non-sectarian, and non-partisan organization established in 1947 to help promote in the Philippines the ideals and objectives of the United Nations. Yung option D naman, the Peace and Human Rights Center, PHRC, was founded in 1998 during a particularly brutal phase of the war in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, sa Africa. It was set up in response to the many abuses, injustices, and human rights violation which have occurred in South and North Kivu, sa Africa, since 1996. So PHRC is created by a group of students, lawyers, teachers, and professionals to promote peace and human rights in their community. So going back to item number 8, our answer is between A and D. Although UNESCO promotes peace and security, the PHRC has the culture of peace its top priority. So number 8 is option D. Number 9, who does gender inequality affect the most? A. Women in the poorest countries. B. Children. C. Women and children. Letter D. Boys. So what's your answer, teacher? The answer here is, yep, absolutely, it's option A. Although, technically everyone is affected by gender inequality, lahat naman tayo. So the most affected are the women, especially the women in the poorest countries. So number 9 is option A. Number 10. Which of the following statements is not in line with the principle of sustainability? A. Peace, development, and environmental protection are interdependent and indivisible. Development should put as priority the environment needs of present over the future generations. Environmental protection shall constitute an integral part of the total development process of any society. Countries should reduce unsustainable patterns of production and consumption and promote appropriate demographic policies. So, anong sagot mo, teacher? Number 10. So, what are the principles of sustainability? So, please take note. Number 1. So, these are principles of sustainability. Tingnan natin kung alin yung hindi mababanggit. Okay. Number 1, people are entitled to a healthy and productive life in harmony with nature. Number 2, development today must not undermine the development and environment needs of present and future generations. Third principle, nations have the sovereign right to exploit their own resources, but without causing environmental damage beyond their borders. So, sa Pilipinas, hindi natin to napapansin kasi wala tayong katabing mga countries, 'di ba? Kasi we are surrounded by water. Pero yung ibang mga bansa na may mga katabi, so meron silang borders. And so exploitation happens sa ibang bansa. So minsan naapektuhan din yung katabing mga bansa pag malapit sa border yung mga activities. Okay, yung number 4, nations shall develop international laws to provide compensation for damage that activities under their control cause to areas beyond their borders. So ito 'yon. So na pag may activity sila na may environmental damage, so minsan affected rin yung katabing country. Lalo pag malapit sa border yung activities. Number 5, in order to achieve sustainable development, environmental protection shall constitute an integral part of the development process and cannot be considered in isolation of it. Eradicating poverty and reducing disparities in living standards in different parts of the world are essential to achieve sustainable development and meet the needs of the majority of the people. Number 6, nations shall cooperate to conserve, protect, and restore the health and integrity of the Earth's ecosystem. Number 7, nations should reduce and eliminate unsustainable patterns of production and consumption and promote appropriate demographic policies. Number 8, environmental issues are best handled with the participation of all concerned citizens. Nations shall facilitate and encourage public awareness and participation by making environmental information widely available. Number 9, nations should share knowledge and innovative technologies to achieve the goal of sustainability. And yung panghuli, number 10, peace, development, and environmental protection are interdependent and indivisible. So, alin sa options ang di nabanggit? So, it's option? Yep, it's option B. Option B is contradictory to the principles of sustainability. So, number 10 is option B. Number 11. Which of the following best exemplifies gender equality? Stereotyping of males and females. Presence of barriers to equal access of men and women to wealth. Equal valuing of the roles of men and women. Practice of segregating women from men. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option? Yeah, I mentioned this already. Gender equality refers to the equal valuing of the roles of women and men. It works to overcome the barriers of stereotypes and prejudices, so that both sexes are able to equally contribute and to benefit from economic, social, cultural, and political development within society. The ultimate goal is an unbiased partnership between men and women built on shared knowledge, energy, creativity, and skills. So number 11 is option C. Number 12. Which condition is essential to gender equality? A. Equitable access to resources and decision making. B. Valuing of men's contribution more than women's. C. Unequal sharing of wealth and resources based on gender. And letter D. Valuing the role of women more than the roles of men. Anong sagot mo, teacher? The answer here is option... yeah, it's option A. Empowerment of women, that is equitable access to resources, power, and decision-making, is essential to gender equality. So such a process requires a realignment of power in decision-making at the household, institutional, and all levels of society. So number 12 is option A. Number 13. Which human rights principle applies to a situation where a violation of political rights also has an effect on the exercise of other rights, such as economic rights? Inviolable, interdependent, general welfare, universal. What is your answer, teacher? What are the human rights principles? The fundamental principles of human rights are universal, inalienable, interdependent, and indivisible. Inviolable and human rights entail both rights and obligations. So when we say universal, yung option D, it means that everyone should enjoy human rights without discrimination. When we say inalienable, human rights should not be taken away except in specific situations and according to due process dapat. Halimbawa, yung karapatan na maging malaya, pwede itong mawala kapag ang isang tao ay napatunayan ng hukuman na guilty o nagkasala o gumawa ng isang krimen. So, may due process pa rin naman, of course. So, no one is guilty unless proven. Interdependent and indivisible. Ibig sabihin, bawat karapatan ay magkakaugnay-ugnay. Kabit-kabit siya. Hindi pwedeng isakripisyo ang isang karapatan para bigyang diin ng isang karapatan. Ang pagpapayaman sa isang karapatan ay nakakapagpayaman din sa iba pang mga karapatan. Ang pagpapabaya o yung, pagpapabaya sa isang karapatan ay pagpapabaya din sa ibang mga karapatan. So, parang kadena siya. Sila ay ugnay-ugnay. So, that's what we mean by interdependent and indivisible. Okay? Yung inviolable naman, this means that human rights are irreducible elements of one's humanity and it cannot be abrogated or violated. Cannot be violated. Inviolable. Yung number 5 na fifth principle niya is human rights entail both rights and obligations. It simply means that at the universal level, while we are entitled to our human rights, we should also respect the human rights of others. So magkakambal yung rights at obligations. So number 13, ang sagot dito ay interdependent. Number 13, option B. Number 14, which of the following will bring positive benefits to society? A. Biased regard for both men and women. Just partnership of men and women based on shared knowledge. Marginalization of women's contribution to society. Recognition of women that men are subordinate to women. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option. Yup, did you get it? This is an essential foundation of gender education. An unbiased and just partnership between women and men built on the strengths of shared knowledge, energy, and skills. Such partnership is of essential value. It can also bring positive benefits to society as a whole and contribute to many of the world's most vital urgent problems. So, number 14 is option B. Number 15, right of suffrage is one of our civil rights, cultural rights, economic rights, political rights. Ano ba yung suffrage? Yung karapatan natin na bumoto. Yung option A, civil rights. Ang civil rights are those rights possessed by human beings in order to live freely and peacefully in their communities and societies or countries. So, some examples are right to life, property, and liberty. Civil rights yun. Yung option B, cultural rights. They are rights that promote our culture and enjoy the benefits brought by science and technology. Yung option C, economic rights, are rights of individuals to have decent means of livelihood. At yung option D, political rights are those rights given to us in order to participate in the decision-making process in our communities or country. So example are, as Filipino citizen, we have the right to choose our leaders through elections or suffrage. Or we can also voice out our opinions on the programs of government that will affect our lives. So, political rights yon. So, we also have social rights. Our social rights promote our welfare as we live in our community or country. Yung number 15, the answer is option D. Okay? Number 16, domestic violence is an example of physical and structural conflict, ecological and social-cultural conflict, physical and ecological conflict, structural and social-cultural conflict. What is your answer, teacher? Yeah, in domestic violence, basically, domestic violence is physical in nature, which, of course, brings negative effects to person's psychological well-being. So, in domestic violence, the domination usually of men is perpetuated. So, domestic violence is physical and structural conflict. So, number 16 is option A. Number 17. A complex process of establishing a climate of tolerance and respect for truth through a wide range of political, developmental, humanitarian, and human rights programs and mechanisms is termed as peace building, peacekeeping, conflict prevention, peacemaking. What is your answer, teacher? These options are the 4 major stages of conflict resolution and supporting peace. So, sa apat na ito, alin dapat yung mauna? The first stage here is the conflict prevention. Kung kaya pang iwasan ang kaguluhan, di ba? We have to prevent. Prevention is better than cure. So, it is the conflict prevention, yung option C. It is preventing and resolving conflict before it results in violence than responding to it once it has occurred. So, actions to address the underlying causes of conflict include strengthening governance, improving access to human rights, economic and social development, destruction of weapons, and developing a culture of peace. Yung next stage is peacemaking. Yung option D. So the first step to peace, if fighting broke out, revolves around diplomatic measures to negotiate a ceasefire, diba? Lalo sa Mindanao, and an agreement to which all parties agree, accepting that no gains are to be won by continuing the conflict. Implementing the peace agreement and rebuilding communication needs to happen on official and informal levels to build a foundation for future reconciliation. So yung third stage is peacekeeping, yung option B. Peace agreements are fragile, madaling mawasak. So the presence of groups of neutral soldiers, militaries, observers, civilian police, electoral observers, and human rights monitors can encourage hostile groups not to return to the use of arms, yung bakbakan. Diba? Peacekeepers, the task of the peacekeepers can include establishing and policing buffer zones, demobilization and disarmament of military forces, establishing communication between parties, and protecting the delivery of the humanitarian assistance. Yung last stage is yung peace building. Ito yung pinakamahirap. Peace building is a complex and lengthy process requiring the establishment of a climate of tolerance and respect for the truth. It encompasses a wide range of political, developmental, humanitarian, and human rights programs and mechanisms. They include the reintegration of soldiers and refugees, demining and removal of other war debris, emergency relief, the repair of roads and infrastructure, and economic and social rehabilitation. Ang dami niya. Kaya nga building. So, that's the most complex. So again, the stages are conflict prevention, peacemaking, peacekeeping, and peace building. So the answer here to item number 17 is option A, peace building. Okay, 17, option A. Number 18. Which statement about globalization is correct? A. Globalization may lead to the disappearance of whole ways of life and traditional practices. B. Globalization may lead to more varied ways of life and socio-cultural practices. Globalization may lead to development and progress for all peoples of the world. Globalization is destructive and should be eliminated. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option... Yeah, it's option B. Globalization leads to a new cultural diversity. As a result of the increasing cultural contact, a number of traditional practices, whole ways of life, and worldview disappear. So may mga ganun. It's happening. Okay, number 18 is option B. Number 19. Which of the following situations in the classroom illustrates gender equality? A. Teachers praise boys more often than girls so they could catch their attention. Boys receive more academic help than girls from the teachers so they could perform better. Teachers accept boys or girls' ideas or opinions during classroom discussion based on their merit. Boys are encouraged by the teachers to be more straightforward and unreserved than girls. What's your answer, teacher? The answer here is obviously... Yep, it's option C. Options A, B, and D demonstrate gender inequality, not gender equality. Okay? 19 is option C. What is the major factor in the inequality of men and women and the presence of gender discrimination in society? Egalitarian practices, patriarchy, superiority of women, poverty. What is your answer, teacher? The answer is poverty. Number 20, option D. 21. What is the responsibility of the state and government in relation to human rights? A. Human rights is an individual responsibility. The state should not in any way interfere. It is the responsibility of the state to ensure and protect human rights of its citizens. Non-governmental entities have the sole responsibility of promoting and protecting human rights of citizens. Exercise and protection of human rights are mere political propaganda against the government and should not be given attention. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option... Right, it's option B. One of the basic concepts and principles related to human rights is the duty of the state to ensure and protect human rights of its citizens. So the government should ensure the fullest development of its citizens. Right to live is the natural right of human beings, but the human right to live with dignity is very fundamental, and it is a government concern to secure to all its citizens the right to live with dignity. Okay? Number 21 is option B. Number 22. The following except one are experiences that help students build a global orientation and perspective. A. Explore some of the reasons for the differences in ways of living. B. Promote the development of stereotypes and ethnocentric attitudes. Exchange letters and artworks through emails among students all over the world. Teach about histories in countries and analyze the effects on their present situation. What is your answer, teacher? The exception here is obviously the option B. Pag sinabing global education, it involves learning about those problems and issues that cut across national boundaries and about the interconnectedness of systems, yung ecological, cultural, economic, political, and technological. So global education involves perspective taking. Ano yung perspective taking? Yung pagtingin sa mga bagay at sitwasyon sa pananaw o pagtingin ng iba. Seeing things through the eyes and minds of others. And it means that naiintindihan natin na kahit iba-iba ang pananaw at pagtingin ng bawat isa o bawat grupo, mayroon naman tayong magkakapareho na pangangailangan at adhikain at nais na matamo. That is a global orientation and perspective. At ito ay napagyayaman ng options A, C, and D. Yung option B ay kabaliktaran. Pag sinabing stereotype, ito yung pagkakahon sa tao. Halimbawa, ang mga babae mahina, ang mga lalaki di umiiyak, ang teacher matalino dapat, ang values ed major mababait, etc. So, we are putting people in a box, stereotyping them. Ang ethnocentric naman, pag sinabing ethnocentrism, yung pagtingin at paghusga sa kultura ng iba gamit ang standard ng kultura natin. Part ng ethnocentrism yung paniniwala na ang kultura natin ay mas superior o mas mataas ang level kaysa sa kultura ng iba. Diba? So, stereotyping and ethnocentrism do not help us build a global orientation and perspective. So, number 22 is option B. Number 23. Which of the following is the main focus of environmental education? A. Rethinking human Earth relationships and building a global culture of ecological responsibility. B. Anticipating the future to cope with its challenges and develop a vision of the future. C. Promoting gender equality and harnessing the role of women in development. And letter D. Ensuring equitable and meaningful relationships between developed and developing countries. What is your answer, teacher? What is EE or environmental education? Well, according to UNESCO, environmental education is a process in which individuals gain awareness of their environment and acquire knowledge, skills, values, experiences, and the determination which will enable them to act individually and collectively to solve present and future environmental problems. It is also a learning process that increases people's knowledge and awareness about the environment and associated challenges, develops the necessary skills and expertise to address the challenges, and fosters attitudes, motivations, and commitments to make informed decisions and take responsible actions. So, the answer here is option A. So, number 23 is option A. 24. Which of the following can be considered a form of civic engagement? Bribing a government official. Being critical of government officials. Patronizing Filipino products. Joining community projects. So what's your answer, teacher? The answer here is option D. Pag sinabing civic engagement or civic participation, it is any individual or group activity that address issue of public concern, pwedeng to protect public values or to make a change in a community. So number 24 is option D. 25. Which of the following adheres to the principle of equality of access? A. Provide scholarships for children at risk to encourage better attendance and academic streaming based on gender stereotypes. Enact and enforce labor laws that ensure equal opportunity and pay equity. Use various question types and weigh the test items to ensure that students with different learning styles have equal opportunities to succeed. What's your answer, teacher? Here, we are talking about the multiple dimensions of gender equality in education. Meron tayong tinatawag na equality of access, equality in the learning process, equality of educational outcomes, and equality of external results. Ngayon, when we say equality of access, it means that girls and boys are offered equitable opportunities to gain admission to formal and non-formal or alternative approaches to basic education. Actual attendance, hindi yung enrollment ang better indicator of whether access has been achieved. Pag sinabi naman natin equality in the learning process, boys and girls receive equitable treatment and attention and have equal opportunities to learn. So this means that girls and boys are exposed to the same curricula. Although, the coursework may be taught differently to accommodate the different learning styles of girls and boys. Equality in the learning process also means that all learners should be exposed to teaching methods and materials that are free of stereotypes and gender bias. Pag sinabi namang equality of educational outcomes, so yung mga estudyante, they have equal opportunities to achieve, and the outcomes are based on their individual talents and efforts. So, to ensure fair chances of achievement, the length of school careers, academic qualifications, and diplomas should not differ based on a person's sex. So, mechanisms for evaluating individual achievement should also be free of any gender bias. So, yun yung equality of educational outcomes. Pag sinabi namang equality of external results, it occurs when the status of men and women, their access to goods and resources, and their ability to contribute to, participate in, and benefit from economic, social, cultural, and political activities are equal. This implies that career opportunities, the time needed to secure employment after learning, full-time education, and the earnings of men and women with similar qualification experiences are the same. Hindi porke babae, mababa ang sweldo, pag lalaki, mas mataas ang sweldo. Okay? Yung equality of external results. So, going back to item number 25. So, option A is under equality of access. Option B is equality in the learning process. Option C is equality of external results. And option D is equality of learning process. So, the answer here in item number 25 is option A. 25, option A. Number 26. Which of the following is an example of civil rights? Access to quality education, right to self-determination, right to life, economic security. What is your answer, teacher? Pag sinabing civil rights, ito yung mga karapatan natin na makakatulong in order for us to live freely and peacefully in our community or country. Halimbawa, right to life, property, and liberty. So, option A is an example of social rights. Option B can be under social right also. Option C is an example of civil rights, right? So, option D is an example of economic rights. So, number 26 is option C. 27. Child abuse is a violation of children's A. Development rights, B. Participation rights, C. Protection rights, and letter D. Survival rights. What's your answer, teacher? Yung the Convention of the Rights of the Child, yung CRC or UNCRC, United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, is an international human rights treaty which defined the civil, political, economic, social, health, and cultural rights of children. So it was signed on November 20, 1989 in New York City. So this convention defines a child as any human being under the age of 18. So, grabe no? 17 pa baba, child pa sa definition ng UNCRC. So, the Philippines signed the UNCRC on January 26, 1990 and ratified by the Philippine Senate on August 21, 1990. So, this treaty, itong Convention on the Rights of the Child, has 4 components. Sila yung survival rights, participation rights, protection rights, and development rights. O, isa-isahin natin. Pag sinabi nating survival rights, ito yung una. These are the rights to life and needs basic to a child's existence. So, they need the essential and health services to survive. Pag sinabi nating participation rights, they are the rights that allow children to take part in affairs that affect their lives. Halimbawa, right to express their own views, expression or freedom of expression, freedom of association, appropriate information, parents' upbringing and care. So, the children may develop kapag meron silang mga ganitong rights, okay? Yung pangatlo, protection rights, they are rights that safeguard children's need against all forms of neglect and abuse. Mga halimbawa, non-discrimination right, right to name and nationality, right to identity, family reunification, protection from illegal transfer, non-return, protection din sa non-return, baka kasi makidnap, right to privacy, protection from abuse and neglect, protection of children without families, right to be adopted, yung mga aampunin, right of child refugees to special care and protection, right of children with disabilities to special care, and right to juvenile justice. So these are protection rights. Pag sinabi namang development rights, they are the rights or the things needed by children to reach their fullest adequate standard of living. Halimbawa, education, play, leisure, recreation, cultural activities, parental guidance, life and development, name and nationality, living with parents, and so on. So, sa item number 27, the answer here is option C. Yung child abuse is a violation of children's protection rights. Okay? 27, option C. 28. We practice the skills in global education when we A. Practice economic protectionism and unfair trade. Refuse to learn other languages and cultures. Expose ourselves only to our own cultures and beliefs. Try to be understanding and tolerant of other people's differences. Number 28, the answer here is... Yep, option D. A global citizen respects and values diversity. 28, option D. 29. Which of the following may be considered as psychological needs? Feeling of dignity and freedom from fear. Food, clothing, and shelter. Need to interact and live with other members peacefully. Need for wealth and security. What's your answer, teacher? The answer here is option A. Option B belongs to physiological needs. Option C, social needs. Option D, security needs. So number 29 is option A. 30. Which of the following may cause conflict among societies? Scarcity of economic resources, political struggle, interference of one group, all of the above. And the answer here is... Yeah, number 30 is option D. Number 31. Proper health and nutrition must be given to children because this is one of their A. Development rights, participation rights, protection rights, survival rights. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option D. Survival rights. We already discussed these rights in item number 27. Kindly review these rights, alright? 32. What principle is adhered to when we recognize that all people such as women, children, indigenous groups, rich and poor should enjoy their rights? Inviolable, interdependent, general welfare, universal. What's your answer, teacher? The answer is... That's right. We talk about the fundamental principles of human rights in item number 13. Kindly revisit them. So number 32 is option D. Number 33. What right is violated if you were a suspect arrested without a warrant of arrest? Civil rights, economic rights, political rights, socio-cultural rights. What's your answer, teacher? Yep. The answer is option A. We talk about this in item number 15. The answer here is option A. 34. Which is not a mechanism that may be used by the state to guarantee human rights protection? Human rights laws, education and campaigns, national program of action, censorship. What is your answer, teacher? Alin daw ang hindi dapat gamitin ng pamahalaan para proteksyonan ang mga karapatang pangtao? Yung option A, human rights Siyempre, ito ang basihan ng pagpapatupad ng human rights sa bansa. Dapat itong gamitin, yung human rights laws. Option B, education and campaigns. Siyempre, malaking tulong kung ma-educate natin ang ating mga kababayan na malaman ang kanilang mga karapatan. So, pwede ito. Option C, National Program of Action. Siyempre, pwedeng gamitin ang mga programa ng pamahalaan. And option D, censorship. Ang censorship is the suppression of speech, public communication, or other information. Siyempre, ito ay hindi dapat gamitin ng pamahalaan kasi natatapakan nito ang ating karapatan na magpahayag, yung freedom of expression. So the answer here, number 34, is option D. Number 35. Who should be primarily accountable if there are human rights violations in a country? A. The criminals. B. The violators. C. The police. And letter D. The state. What's your answer, teacher? So, syempre, yung mga kriminal. Okay. But the answer here, teacher, is option D. The state is the primary responsible because it has the greatest power over the state and its citizens. So with great power comes great responsibility, sabi ni Spider-Man. So it should, the government should create mechanism that will protect and uphold human rights in a country. So number 35 is option D. 36. Which of the following statements is true about the Universal Declaration of Human Rights? A. UDHR establishes the minimum and common standard of achievement for all peoples of the world. UDHR is an individual commitment and not of the state or government or governments. UDHR provides exceptions for indigenous cultures. UDHR allows for deviation of states and individuals from the standards set forth by the declaration. Number 36. The answer here is it's option A. The UDHR establishes the minimum and common standard of achievement for all peoples. So, we mentioned this already in item number 6. So, revisit that. Okay, so number 36 is option A. 37. Which of the following is a fundamental principle of human rights? A. Everyone should enjoy human rights without discrimination. Human rights be abrogated or violated if the person disobeys the law. Certain rights may be sacrificed in favor of other rights. Human rights can be reduced and applied discriminately. Anong sagot mo, teacher? Number 37. So one of the fundamental principles of human rights is universality, which states that everyone should enjoy human rights without discrimination. So, number 37 is option A. 38. What type of inequality exists when there is an equal valuing of men and women's contribution to society? A. Gender inequality. B. Political inequality. Economic inequality. Legal inequality. What's your answer, teacher? The answer here is option A. Good job! When we say political and legal inequality, yung option B, women are very poorly represented at all levels of formal decision-making in society, but particularly regional and national levels. The legal system in many countries discriminates against women in the areas of family law, inheritance, property and land ownership, citizenship, and criminal law. The prosecution of cases involving violence against women is particularly difficult. When we say economic inequality, yung option C, it is shown in statistics. Di ba? Kitang-kita sa numbers. Nearly 70% of world's poor are female, and the number of women living in poverty has increased disproportionately in recent years compared with the number of men. Another thing is that women have unequal access to economic resources. So, part pa yan ng economic inequality. Parang hirap maghanap ng trabaho yung mga kababaihan, lalo na yung mga nasa mahihirap na bansa, third world countries or developing countries. Wala rin silang access na masyado sa capital, economic resources, credit, labor, land, and limited opportunities for employment and career advancement, which restricts their ability to improve their economic situation. So, economic inequality is also shown in the fact that females have unequal access to education and training opportunities, which leads to low literacy levels and employment in unskilled, low-status jobs. So number 38 is option A. 39. Which of the following characterizes economic rights? Rights of individuals to have means of livelihood. Right to promote one's culture and enjoy the benefits of technology. Right to live freely and peacefully in one's community. Right to participate in the decision-making process in one's country. What is your answer, teacher? Economic rights are rights of individuals to have decent means of livelihood. So the answer here is, option A. Option B is under cultural rights. Option C is under civil rights. And option D is under political rights. So number 39 is option A. 40. Which is considered as the universal human rights standard? Convention on the Rights of Children. Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights. Universal Declaration of Human Rights. What's your answer, teacher? Our universal standard for human rights is the UDHR. Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Number 40 is option D. 41. When a teacher uses balanced classroom assessment methods to evaluate group and individual work of boys and girls, he or she is applying the dimension of equality of access, equality of outcomes, equality in the learning process, equality of external results. So what is your answer, teacher? The answer here, number 41, is option C, equality in the learning process. Number 42. What is the primary goal of gender education? Anticipating the future and imagining possible and probable futures. Equality in harnessing of the role of men and women as partners in development. Striving for equality of economic, social, and political development in all countries. Promoting care for the environment and building a global culture of ecological responsibility. What is your answer, teacher? Number 42. What is gender education? Gender education is a process that aims to eliminate the current reality of deeply ingrained gender-biased discrimination in our society and to create a safe and harmonious environment for all individuals and groups, ethnic groups. So its ultimate goal is an unbiased partnership with men and women built on shared knowledge, energy, and creativity. And for that reason, the answer here is item number 42 is option B. Yep, number 42 is option B. 43. Equality of educational outcomes as one dimension of gender equality in education means girls and boys are offered equitable opportunities to gain admission to formal, non-formal, or alternative approaches to basic education. Girls and boys are given equal opportunity to participate in educational activities and other learning experiences. Girls and boys enjoy equal opportunities to achieve outcomes are based on their individual talents and efforts. Girls and boys receive equitable treatment and attention and have equal opportunities to learn. What's your answer, teacher? Equality of educational outcomes is the equal opportunities to achieve, and the outcomes are based on their individual talents and efforts. That is option C. Yung option A is equality of access. Yung option B ay equality in the learning process. And yung option D is also equality in the learning process. So, number 43 is option C. Number 44. Which of the following situations illustrate a teacher's broad understanding of multiculturalism? Teacher A encourages her students coming from diverse background to celebrate worthwhile contributions to their classmates. Teacher B segregates students according to their cultural background so as not to contaminate each other's culture. Wow. Teacher C asserts in her class that students should meet the standards she set in class and any form of deviation will be penalized. Teacher D argues in class that the students' cultural and social backgrounds have nothing to do with their performance in school. What's your answer, teacher? Multiculturalism is the state of a society in which there are many kinds of ethnic and cultural groups considered to be politically relevant or important. So, which situation shows a teacher's broad understanding of multiculturalism? So the answer here is option A. Okay, number 44, option A. 45. The overarching value that is central to human rights education is sustainability of the planet, human dignity, justice for all, human solidarity. What's your answer, teacher? The answer here is option B. Human dignity is siyempre. Okay. 45 is B. 46. Right to free access to natural and cultural patrimonies is an example of cultural rights, economic rights, political rights, right to development in balanced environment. What is your answer, teacher? Natural patrimonies or natural heritage is anything that forms part of our natural resources handed down to us by our ancestors or forefathers. Yung cultural patrimonies naman or cultural heritage are anything that possesses continuing cultural, traditional, or historical importance. So pag sa 46, the answer is option A. Good job! Next number. The right to voice out our opinions on the programs of government is classified as cultural rights, economic rights, political rights, right to development and balanced environment. The answer here is good job, letter C, political rights. 48. Poverty is an example of structural violence, ecological violence, physical violence, psychological violence. What is your answer, teacher? When we say structural violence, yung option A, this is a form of violence wherein some social institutions may harm people by preventing them from meeting their basic needs. So this term was coined by Norwegian sociologist Johan Galtung, who introduced it in his article Violence, Peace, and Peace Research. Structural violence is an interesting area of study in the context of Philippine setting. If you are interested in learning more about this, kindly read Johan Vincent Galtung. That's Johan Vincent Galtung, Galtung. Yeah, kindly check him on Google, Johan Galtung. Yung ecological violence naman is the destruction and degradation of the environment, particularly in certain aspects of an ecosystem. Okay? Pwedeng sa tubig, pwedeng sa kalupaan, sa kagubatan, yung sa hangin, so ecological violence. Physical violence is the intentional use of physical force or power, either threatened or actual, that either results in high possibility of resulting an injury, death, psychological harm, maldevelopment, or deprivation. Physical violence yun. Yung psychological violence naman can take the form of coercion, defamation, verbal insult, or harassment that they can cause serious impairment to another person's psychological integrity. So, in these options, number 48, the answer here is letter A, structural violence. 49. The incorporation of local, regional, and national economies into a worldwide global economy manifests multiculturalism, gender equality, globalization, peace. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is Of course, globalization. Globalization is a broadening, deepening, and speeding up of worldwide interconnectedness in all aspects of our lives, from cultural to criminal, from financial to environmental, and many more. So number 49 is option C. 50. Which is not a characteristic of a global person? A. Respects and values one's own cultures over the other cultures. Take responsibility for one's action. Promote social justice. Acts to make the world a more sustainable place. What are the characteristics of a global person or global citizen, teacher? Okay, these are the characteristics. I'll do it super quickly. Number 1, aware of the worldwide and has a sense of their own role as world citizen. They respect and they value diversity, yung pagkakaiba-iba. Has an understanding of how the world works economically, politically, socially, culturally, technologically, and environmentally. Number 4, they are outraged, napupuot, nagagalit sa social injustices, namumuhi sa kawalang katarungan sa lipunan. Number 5, participate in and contribute to the community at a range of levels from local to global. Number 6, willing to act to make the world a more sustainable place. Number 7, takes responsibility for their actions. And yeah, that's 7 characteristics of a global person. So, alin ang hindi nabanggit, teacher? Ang sagot ay, yeah, it's option A. Number 50 is option A. 51. The statements below except 1 are impacts of IT or information technology on the value system of the people. Which one is the exception? IT leads to economic competition, which in turn leads to rise in racial, social, and religious discrimination and intolerance. IT accelerates globalization, which in turn is changing the fundamentals of human relations and social life. IT humanizes globalization because it creates harmony and connectivity among peoples of the world. Through IT, there is increased understanding through closer links and communications between and among peoples and cultures. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option. Yeah. Did you get it? That's a good job. Information technology or IT hardly humanizes globalization. It's the other way around, actually. IT dehumanizes globalization or societies. IT is an effective instrument of if they are managed humanely. Kung maayos lang sanang nagagamit. But it is the people who take the effort to harmonize and get connected kindly in peace and harmony. So not the technology, it's the people's effort. So the option A is exactly the negative impact of IT with efforts of humanizing globalization should be addressed. Yung option B tells us that the impact of IT on the basic human values is very powerful. It could be positive or negative. Connectivity is social relations could be made stronger through cell phones, social networking sites, or emails, for example, but could also destroy relations instantly when used to put down people. Alam naman natin ang effect niya lalo sa social media. 'Di ba? Ang daling mangbasag ng trip o mangsira ng tao. Yung option D naman shows that through the internet, various people can deposit or borrow cultures from the World Bank of Cultures. Meron palang World Bank of Cultures, almost at an instance due to contradiction of time and space. So, the answer here in item number 51 is option C. 52. Which of the recent concepts in the field of education concerns the whole world? Values education, technology education, global education, multilingual education. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option B. There is a pressing need for technology education because modern technology exerts a strong and evolving pressure on our human values as it changes social institutions and practices. So there is a pressing need. Number 52 is option B. Number 53, one way to ease the tension between the global and the local is to take pride in one's local crafts and export them to the world market. For people to get exposed to global happenings, to patronize one's indigenous culture, to travel in various tourist spots in other countries around the globe. Number 53, the answer here is option. Yeah. When we take pride of our local crafts, yung mga produkto sa lokal na bayan, nating lokal na bayan o pamahalaan or lugar, we appreciate our local culture. And then, when we export them to the world market, we take part in the global market where various cultures exhibit their uniqueness and contribution. So, option B, C, and D do not contain the elements of either local or global. So, number 53 is option A. 54. What attitude must be instilled in the use of computers? Learners must be competent enough in the use of computer. Learner can have all the chances to explore the computer to fit their learning needs. Constrain the learner in the use of computer. Learner must use one's critical and analytical thinking towards wise access to information. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option. Yeah, this is crucial nowadays when fake news are rampant, on social media and on various websites. Number 54, option D. 55. As a result of high technology, knowledge has become a powerful tool in the society. This implies that media must help in propagating good information. School must offer IT courses to all students. A person must have skills and learning to learn to maximize acquisition of new knowledge. And letter D, a person must be educated to become successful in the society. What's your answer, teacher? The answer here is option C. Since knowledge is becoming a precious commodity as a result of high technology, we should learn how to maximize our ability to acquire new knowledge. Knowledge is power, alam mo yan. Kaya sa ngayon at sa mga darating pang panahon, our knowledge will dictate our monetary value, economically speaking. Pag mas maraming alam, mas mataas ang chances to make more money. Alam mo yan. This is a skill that can be learned at pwedeng maituro. And as teachers, we should be the first ones to benefit from it. Diba? I mean, we can talk about this the whole day. About our economic monetary value because money is a symbol of our value economically. Of course, alam naman natin na our value is there's no commensurate no value or no monetary value that can commensurate our dignity. Pero economically, money is the symbol of our value. Anyway, we will talk about this in some other time. So number 55 is option C. Number 56. What is true about competition and cooperation in relation to changes and developments? A. Both are positive values and can be used interchangeably. Competition is positive for incentives and cooperation is also positive for unity. Competition is the reverse of cooperation. Competition is negative that leads to factionalism and cooperation is positive that leads to success. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option B. The pressures of competition have caused many of those in positions of authority to lose sight of their mission, which is to give each human being the means to take full advantage of every opportunity to reconcile three forces. Ano yung three forces? Competition, cooperation, solidarity. Yung competition, they provide incentives. Cooperation gives strength. And solidarity unites. Okay, importante yung tatlo. So, here, number 56, the answer is option B. 57. To balance universal and individual orientation, it is important to put aside globalization as a just strategy of the superpowers. Have an open mind to globalization while preserving one's cultural heritage. Appreciate contemporary developments that transform our indigenous ways. Stay safe between globalization and indigenization. What's your answer, teacher? The answer here is option. That's good. We need to be open-minded while we preserve our cultural heritage. Why? Because we cannot just ignore the promises of globalization. And yet, we cannot just be passive with the risks it brings, like the risk of forgetting the unique character of our individual human beings, our unique cultural heritage and characteristics. So, number 57 is option B. 58. The rapid pace of change and development today requires quick and ready solution to problems. This is true because solutions must naturally pace with problems. This is true because decisions and actions must now be fast in order to be relevant with time. False because there are problems that require long-term negotiations. This is false because any problem requires time for an appropriate solution. What's your answer, teacher, here? The answer here is option. Yeah, option C. This statement is false because there are problems that require long-term negotiations, katulad halimbawa ng peace talks sa Mindanao, di ba? Ilang bata pa ako, may peace talks na, bago pa tayo pinanganak, may peace talks hanggang ngayon, still ongoing. Peace talks with the New People's Army, yung mga kapatid nating makakaliwa, di ba? O ano pang halimbawa, yung problema sa West Philippine Sea. Kailangan dyan ng long negotiations, diplomatic negotiation. Global warming, environmental destruction, illegal logging, mining, illegal fishing, corruption sa ating lipunan, ba? Kawalan ng maayos na sistema sa ating mga lokal na pamahalaan at marami pang iba. So, hindi lahat ay pwedeng instant. Excuse me. Hindi lahat ng solusyon ay instant. Okay? So, number 58 is option C. 59. Which of the following is not an act of terrorism? Organized rally among group of farmers. Assassination of a political leader. Bombing of an abortion clinic. The criminal execution of blacks in the South. Number 59, the answer here is option A. An organized rally is not an act of terrorism. Bakit pa siya inorganize? Diba? May permit. Anyway, number 59 is option A. 60. What type of terrorist group would be the most difficult to infiltrate? Hirap pasukin. A. Groups with a strong ideological cause. Groups with a well-organized cell structure. Groups with extensive computer skills. And groups with charismatic leader. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is option A. Mahirap gibain ang terorismo na matibay ang pundasyon sa kaisipan ng mga tagasunod nito. Kapag brainwashed ang followers, they become fanatic and they are ready to die in the name of their belief. Fanatic. Diba? So number 60 is option A. Number 61. Which of the following is the least satisfactory definition of terrorism? The threat of harm to innocent bystanders. The unlawful use of violence for socio-political purposes. The targeting of non-combatants by subnational or nation-sponsored groups. The use of fear or anything that strikes terror in the heart of an enemy. Number 61, the answer here is... Yeah, it's option A. Which of the following would be an example of conquering one's own self? Committing suicide in order to avoid a painful disease. Creating values and meanings for oneself by a sheer exertion of the free will. maintaining a reasonable balance in one's life by resisting an innate tendency towards recklessness. And letter D, destroying one's capacity for reason and reflection through drug abuse. What is your answer, teacher? That's good. It's option B. Conquering one's own self means, self-control and self-mastery. It also means going beyond our base instincts and unhealthy tendencies. It implies will and discipline to make wise decisions and follow them through despite laziness and inner resistance. So it's better to conquer first our own self than winning thousands of battles just for, show off. Number 62 is option B. 63. Which of the following best describes a moral person? Comes up with well-planned and well-analyzed decisions. Personal decisions and actions for values are genuinely internalized. The universal and absolute guiding principles are followed in acting and in making decisions. The desired moral and ethical values are genuinely internalized. What's your answer, teacher? Yeah, the answer here is option C. When our motivations to do the good is no longer our own desire to please others or to be rewarded, but the conviction that it is the right thing to do, we are following the absolute moral guiding principles, and this best shows a moral person. So number 63 is option C. Number 64. Which of the following is not true about conscience? It helps us to think, analyze, discern, and know the truth. It gives us moral law and obligation. It has the idea of right and wrong. It comprehends all the intuitions of the intellect on moral questions. And the answer here is option A, because option A refers to our intellect. 64A. 65. If the understanding of moral truth is well formed, it will enable us to make the right and good decisions and actions which are vital to every person's life. Know what action is good or bad. Comprehend all the intuitions of the intellect on moral questions. Think, analyze, discern, and know the truth. And the answer here is good job. Number 65, option A. 66. The following are norms and grounds of morality except natural law, societal norm, conscience, personal nature of man. What's your answer, teacher? The norms of morality according to Agapay are the standards that indicate the rightfulness or wrongness, the goodness or evilness, the value or disvalue of a thing. For Gula, norms of morality are the criteria of judgment about the kind of person we ought to be and the kind of actions we ought to perform. The norms of morality are natural law that arises from our human nature. Oh, take note of that word, ha? And it compels us to be true to our nature bilang tao, mas higit kaysa sa hayop. So natural laws are rules derived from the nature that gives or that guides us, especially our human life. So in this item, options A, C, and D are norms and grounds of morality except option B. Well, technically, societal norms are also ground of or norm of morality. However, due to philosophical currents, for example, subjectivism and the relativism, many people tend to absolutize the individual conscience. They neglect the objective principles of morality and they claim that an action is good or bad simply because they think it is good or bad. Ibig sabihin, hindi lahat ng ibinibigay ng societal norms ay grounded sa natural law. Actually, ang iba ay against natural law pa nga. You can guess. So, number 66 is option B. 67. In a situation that euthanasia cannot be avoided, which factor must not be considered? The value of human life, the possibility of medical abuse, the agony of the patient not knowing if he or she still wants to live or die, the possibility of diagnostic errors. What's your answer, teacher? Euthanasia refers to any attempt to prevent the process of death from being prolonged and or painful in situations of inevitable or unavoidable pain, like, painful death. Usually, heavy medical expenditures, sobrang gastos, are a factor. The heightening of the issue of euthanasia is in part by product of medical success. In a situation that euthanasia cannot be avoided, mayroong mga factors na kailangan i-consider. So the factors are the value of human life, the finality of physical death, the possibility of medical abuse, the possibility of diagnostic errors, the possibility of physical abuse, and the perspective of that suffering is not an unqualified evil. So, ibig sabihin, it's a qualified evil. Alisin tayong double negative. So, suffering is a qualified evil, but it has an ultimate divine purpose. So, the answer here is option C. Yeah. So, A, B, and D. They are to be considered. 67, option C. 68. You have been sick for years and the doctors told you that one day you might have to be under the life support system. What is the moral thing to do in this situation? A. You will tell your family and the doctors that you would not want to be under life support so you would not have to suffer for a longer time. You will tell your family and the doctors that you would not want to be under life support because you don't want your family to suffer and sacrifice much for you. You will ask your family to let you live with a life support system and wait until you wake up again because you still want to live. You will let your family decide and choose whatever they want for you and your family's future. So what's your answer, teacher? Mahirap nito, number 68. So well, actually in real life situations, sa totoong buhay, we do not know what you want to do. But in values education, we want to answer the ideal and moral option. And for that reason, the answer here is option C. So number 68 is option C. Okay. 69. If a person believes that she has the right over her own body and therefore believes her unborn child can be aborted, she is expressing behavioral values. She is expressing moral values. She does not violate anything. The decision is normal because it is acceptable in other countries. What is your answer, teacher? So the answer here is option... Yeah, it's option A. Ito'y halimbawa ng sinasabi natin na philosophical current, yung subjectivism and relativism. We tend to absolutize our individual conscience, disregarding the absolute moral values. So again, this is a kind of controversial topic, okay? And the debate is ongoing. So number 69 is option A. 70. A rape victim of minor age had a positive result in her pregnancy test. If you were in the victim's position, ikaw yung na-rape, the best thing to do is to go to the doctor to have the child aborted because you would have to live in shame if you would keep the baby alive. Have the child aborted because you would not be able to support and take good care of the baby. Ask for guidance on how you should prepare yourself in giving birth to the baby since you have decided to keep and raise the baby on your own. Ask if she knew anyone who might want to adopt your baby after you give birth. What is your answer, teacher? In the Philippines, as of recording this video, abortion is a crime. Abortion is criminalized by the Revised Penal Code of the Philippines, enacted in 1930, matagal na, 1930s pa, but it still remains in effect up to this day. So the Article 256, 258, 259 of the code mandate imprisonment for the woman who undergoes the abortion, as well as for any person who assists in the procedure, even if they be the woman's parents, a physician, a boyfriend, a husband, or the midwife. So there is no law in the Philippines that expressly authorizes abortion in order to save the woman's life. So, the general provision which do penalize abortion make no qualification if the woman's life is endangered. It may be argued that an abortion to save the mother's life could be classified as a justifying circumstance that would bar criminal prosecution under the revised penal code. However, this has yet to be adjudicated by the Philippine Supreme Court. Kailangan pa itong ma-clarify. Okay, so this item, since abortion is considered a crime, we eliminate options A and B already. Okay, and between C and D, ang mas mabait na option ay option C. So number 70 is option C. 71. A family member has been under the life support system for a month already and has no guarantee of waking up again. As the spouse of the patient, the moral course of action is to switch off the life support system for your spouse's sake so as not to prolong his or her agony, not knowing if she or he wishes to still live or die. Switch off the life support system so as not to spend all of your remaining money and continuing with the system. Switch off the life support system knowing that is what your spouse wanted. Keep your spouse in life support, accepting all the sacrifices with it, and knowing that she or he would still be alive. Number 71. Again, this kind of dilemma is unique to each person in a real life situation, okay? But in Values Education, our answer here is option D. Number 71 is option D. 72. A young lady who is the breadwinner of her family was raped and got pregnant. Aba, madaming rape dito She knew that she would lose her job if she continues with her pregnancy. If you were in the same situation, the moral thing for me to do is to keep the baby and look for other jobs that are easier for you and in which you would still earn enough for your family. Keep the baby and double or triple your effort in working so you could still meet the requirements of your job, even if you know that would be very tiring for you and your baby. Have an abortion because you cannot afford to lose the work that you love. Have an abortion because you can't bear to have an additional person to the family you have been feeding and taking care of since you have had your job. Well, the answer here is, teacher, is yeah. Did you get it? For the sake of Values Education, ideally the answer here is option A. 73. A male homosexual went to apply in your company. After having interviewed him, you saw that he fits the job. As the employer, it is my moral responsibility to hire him for his credentials, but tell him that he must be the one to adjust and try to blend in with their team, whose performance may be affected by the presence of someone like him. Hire him for his credentials and assure him that you would be the one to tell the rest of your team that someone like him would be part of the group and that they should adjust to and be professional in working with him. Hire him but place him in a minor position and understudy him. If he blends in well with your team, you will retain him. If not, you can easily let him go since he is just in a minor position. Do not hire him. It would be less of a problem to just look for and hire another person who is a straight guy. Parang ano pa to, mas sinauna pa tong problema na to. So, the answer here, teacher, is, yeah, that's good. It's option B. Sexual orientation or gender preference should not be a hindrance to be hired. Otherwise, it's a discrimination, gender inequality. Besides, as a leader, it's your moral responsibility to ensure that professionalism is exercised in the workplace. So number 73 is option B. 74. You are a lawyer who was asked to defend a suspect in a massacre case. Strong evidences point against your supposed client. How would the moral person decide on this problem? Accept and take the job to defend the suspect, work professionally and take it as any other case. Take the job because whether or not you win the case, you would not just earn a good amount of money but also a good publicity. Not take the job because you don't want to handle controversial cases. Not take the job because you don't want to defend someone that to defend someone may really have done the crime since there are strong evidences against him. What's your answer, teacher? Number 74. Well, it's option A. Accept it just as any other case besides. If the the pieces of evidence are really strong, then the suspect will be found guilty. It's part of your job as a lawyer anyway. So number 74 is option A. 75. You were appointed by the president who is an effective leader but with anomalies on the side to lead a government agency. Halimbawa, yung DepEd or Department of Agriculture or Customs. The best course of action would be to A. Accept and do the job professionally and be passive with the personal affairs agenda of the president. Accept the job, but you would police your rank and not let the anomalies stain your agency. Take the job because it's good for your resume. Do not take the job because you don't want to get involved with such kind of a leader. So what is your answer, teacher? Number 75? Well, actually, among the options, the best option is letter D. Option A would be fine. Okay naman siya. But the phrase, be passive with the personal agenda of the president makes this option incorrect. Otherwise, you become an accomplice, kasabwat sa mga katiwalian ng presidente, diba? If you're passive. So options B and C are also not ideal. So yung option D na lang yung natitira. So the best is option D. Number 75, option D. Number 76, which of the following tensions is most related to information overload? Tension between the spiritual and material, tension between competition and concern for equal opportunity, tension between extraordinary expansion of knowledge and human beings' capacity to assimilate it, tension between long-term and short-term considerations. What's your answer, teacher? What is information overload? Kapag wala ng space ang utak kasi 1 terabyte lang ang capacity o siguro 100 gig lang. Well, information overload is an excess amount of information provided and available, making the processing and the absorbing tasks very difficult for us. Ang daming info. So more and more people can access data from increasing number of websites. This has created a new life where we are now dependent on access to information. So we experience information overload from the access to so much instantaneous information that it sometimes overwhelms us. So number 76 is option C. 77. Which of the following is most related to the present tension between spiritual and material? Human person will always have this tension because as human, he is both material and spiritual. Respect for religious pluralism has never been successful for the past thousands of years. Self-transcendence makes one forget material differences and quarrels over those that are temporary and less important. Option D, a balance of the material and spiritual has been there since the human person was created. Number 77, what's your answer, teacher? The answer here is option. Good job. We are material beings with immaterial or spiritual longings, and we cannot deny that. Why? Simply because we are created beings with both material and spiritual composition. So in other words, we have longing for an ideal and for values. We call that moral. It is education's noble task, trabaho natin sa values education specifically, to encourage our students to lift their minds and spirits to the plane of the universal or to transcend our material nature. So, self-transcendence. So, number 77 is option C. 78. Adapting to change is adapting to modernity. This statement is true because if one has to change, the change is towards modernity. True, because all changes are new and modern. False, because the change does not necessarily mean to forget tradition. False, because not all changes are modern. What's your answer, teacher? Number 78. The answer here is... That's good. To change doesn't necessarily mean to forget tradition. To become a progressive country doesn't mean to forget our Filipino cultural values. Okay, so number 78 is option C. 79. Which can best illustrate extraordinary technological progress? A. Technology will definitely continue to transform human life and force us to transform the way we think and live. Increased speed in the acquisition of knowledge means more change in our lives. This refers to an excess amount of information provided and available, making processing and absorbing tasks very difficult for us. This describes a society where everything and everyone is accessible all the time. What is your answer, teacher? Number 79. Okay, that's good. It's option A. In option B, more knowledge doesn't mean or does not guarantee more changes in our lives. In option C, it talks about information overload. And in option D, this is the 24/7 society or 24/7 culture. When we say extraordinary technological progress, it is the option A. Plus, the new technological breakthroughs like the AI, yung artificial intelligence. So, the world is changing so much and so quickly that most people do not understand what they are getting into. Parang maka-join lang. Basta masabing they are into trend. Di naman nila naiintindihan. So, may mga ganun. Kaya yung iba ay nai-stress na. Okay. Number 79 is option A. 80. Which of the following is a true statement about technology and education? Schools will not be needed in e-learning because students can learn wherever computers are available. There will be great demand for advancement in technology in the 21st century. There is no need to learn the use of technology since the fad will fade away. It is impossible to teach values if schools use e-learning mode. So what is your answer, teacher? The answer here is... Good job. It's option B. Yeah. Okay. 80, option B. 81. Which of the following explains the social responsibility of teachers in the 21st century? Teachers must not absent themselves from class because a lot of learning can happen in a day. Teachers must have an MA degree to make their teaching relevant to the present demands. Teachers must possess the moral and spiritual values before they ever attempt to teach these to their students. Teachers must update themselves with the knowledge and competencies required by the present demands in education. Number 81, the answer here is option... Yeah, the option C is already given at the personal level. But with regard to social responsibility, the teachers must update themselves with the knowledge and skills or competencies required by the demands in education. Again, we cannot give what we do not have. So, kailangan ng constant updating. Number 81 is option D. Number 82. Which of the following are needed most for a socially responsible teaching in the 21st century? A. Deep specialization, length of experience, sense of commitment. B. Good attitude to accept change, compassion for students, obedience to authority. C. Critical thinking, multidisciplinary knowledge, good attitude to continuing education. And letter D. Communication skills, English specialization, computer skills. What's your answer, teacher? Good job! That is option C. Number 82, option C. 83. Learning to do is not only learning the skills of teaching, but also the competence to deal with varying situations related thereto. Which of the following is not related to this statement? A. Teachers must know how to vary their techniques and strategies to suit different levels of learners. Teachers must know how to deal effectively with their students, parents, colleagues, superiors, and other members of the community. Teachers must know how to work with varying groups under different conditions. And letter D, teachers must know the different changes and developments, especially the new demands for advanced technology in education. What's your answer, teacher? Actually, all of these options are related to the pillar learning to do. However, when it specifies the competence to deal with varying situations, options B, C, D are related to it, except option A, which is related to learning the skills of teaching. So, number 83 is option A. 84. Which change is brought about by discovery of modernization to increase production? Social change, technological change, societal change, cultural change. What is your answer, teacher? The answer here is, yup, number 84 is option B. 85. This refers to our tendency to be so immersed to technology, thus we become more machine-oriented and less sensitive to our needs and the needs of others. A. Information overload, multitasking, knowledge explosion, techno-stress. What is your answer, teacher? Take note that these are examples of how information technology affects us. Yung option A, information overload, this is already explained in item number 76, so please revisit that. Yung multitasking is when a person handles more than one task at the same time. This term is derived from computer multitasking, where people are likened to computers because of the ability to do several functions at the same time. An example of multitasking is our ability to listen to our favorite music while studying. Multitasking can sometimes result to error due to insufficient attention that we give to the task that we are performing. So teacher, kala mo productive ka, mas productive kung nakafocus. Anyways, yun yung multitasking, yung sinasabay-sabay natin. Nagre-review ka ngayon tapos kumakain, nagre-review ka, nakikinig sa music. So that is an example of multitasking. Yung option C, knowledge explosion, resulted to our ever-increasing struggle and desire to acquire and learn more information. Katulad ng ginagawa mo ngayon. Not only is the knowledge explosion affecting the rate in which we must learn, it also demands that we have the capability to manage an increasing quantity of information that we must know more. Stress is obviously the result of the new demands for increasing knowledge and, again, this places new tension to us. Yung option D, techno-stress, refers to our modern disease of adaptation caused by our inability to cope with the new computer technologies in a healthy manner. The very gadgets that designed to make life easier can actually cause an added dimension of stress sa buhay natin. It is frustrating when the emails, messages, chats, social media timeline, and news feeds are piling up, and they are annoying when phones do not stop ringing. Diba? Ingay. It's infuriating. When equipment breaks down, sira ang computer, hindi gumagana, na virus. So the growing dependence on technology affects us negatively. We depend so much on technology to do so much that when something goes wrong, the internet connection is interrupted, something goes wrong with our technology, we become helpless. So we allow ourselves to be immersed into technology, and in so doing, we become more machine-oriented and less sensitive to our own needs and the needs of others. So number 85, the answer here is option D, techno-stress. 86. A symptom of the high-tech age, which means too much information for one person to absorb in an expanding world of technology. Extraordinary technological progress, knowledge explosion, information overload, multitasking. Number 86, what's your answer, teacher? Yup, it's option C. 87. To balance universal and individual orientation, it is important to A. Stay safe between globalization and indigenization. Appreciate contemporary developments that transform our indigenous ways. Put aside globalization as just a strategy of the superpowers. Have an open mind to globalization while preserving one's cultural heritage. And the answer here, teacher, is Yep. Number 87 is option D. 88. All of the following describes how technology is affecting us except one, which is the exception. Knowledge explosion, culture preservation, information overload, techno-stress. Number 88, option B. Number 89, a powerful figure asks you to kill someone. Oh my goodness. He will pay you well and keep your family safe. As a morally responsible person, what will you do? I will do it. Otherwise, I will be dead. Option B. I will do it. Otherwise, my family will be dead. I will not take the offer. I will go far away with my family even though there is no assurance of our safety. I will go to the authorities and tell them the case even though our safety is not assured. So, what's your answer, teacher? Kung ako ito, ang gagawin ko option C. Aba, sibat na. Pero syempre, dito ang sagot ay option D. Ideally, and 89 is option D. 90. A dating couple of legal age got pregnant. They have the option to get married. However, they are not sure if they would get along well as a married couple since they don't know each other well. What is the best moral advice you can give? Choose to get married even if you're not sure of each other. Do not get married because there is no divorce here in the Philippines. Get married in another country where divorce is legal. Do not get married and just have your baby supported by telling the father to send money. What is your answer, teacher? Number 90. Syempre, dito ang sagot natin ay option A. Ideally, pero sa totoong buhay, ang pagpapakasal ay hindi guarantee na maaayos ang problema ng couple na ito. Yung iba nga, nagiging impyerno pa ang buhay, di ba? Pumasok sa pag-asawa, mas naging impyerno yung buhay nila. Pero, meron din naman na nagiging maayos. So, my point is, sa ganitong sitwasyon, getting married is not a guaranteed solution. But, for the sake of getting the correct answer in this item, our ideal answer is option A. Okay? Option A. Number 91. A married couple would be having a baby. However, if the wife continues with the pregnancy, her life may be in danger when she gives birth. If you are in her position, your best moral option would be to A. Continue with the pregnancy until you give birth because you are willing to risk your life for the baby to be born alive. Have the baby aborted because you want to live and be with your husband, thinking that you can have another child in the future. Have the baby aborted and just adopt a child so you won't have to go through the same risk again. Let your husband choose for you so you won't feel guilty. What's your answer, teacher? The answer here is alright. It's number 91, option A. 92. A dating couple of legal age got pregnant. Ang daming nabubuntis They have the option to get married. However, they're not sure if they would get along well as a married couple since they don't know each other well. If you are the couple's parent, if it is your moral duty to tell them to get married because it is the right thing to do. Give them time to decide if they want to get married. Not let them get married and just have the baby supported by letting the father send money. Not let them get married. Not let the guy send his support to the baby and not let the guy go near your daughter because what they did was wrong. Okay, anong sagot mo dyan, teacher? Syempre, ang sagot ay, ideally, it's option A. Okay? Number 92, option A. 93. What is not a problem brought about by hyperconnectivity through the use of modern technology? Technology impacts relationships among individuals. Technology challenges how individuals deal with each other. Technology accelerates multitasking abilities of individuals. Technology increases the need to talk to people more faster. Or what is your answer, teacher? 93 is option? Yeah, this is not a problem. Okay, 93 is option C. 94. Which is a correct statement about extraordinary technological progress? A. Increased speed in the acquisition of knowledge will create more changes in people's lives. People will produce more goods and services that have not been invented. Advances in information systems will result in smarter and faster technology. And letter D, technology will continue to transform the way people think and live. Number 94 is option C. It is almost certain that because of intelligent advances in information system, new technology will be smarter and faster. 94 is option C. 95. All of the following describes techno-stress except one. Which is the exception? A. Anxiety caused by inability to cope with new technology. Pressure resulted from too much dependence on technology. Obsession brought about by too much preoccupation to acquire modern technology. Frustration resulted from inability to preserve one's cultural heritage because of technology. Number 95 is option D. We discussed techno-stress in item number 85. So number 95 is option D. Number 96. Which value allows people to practice moderation or self-control in order to cope with changes that modernity demands? A. Temperance. B. Equality. C. Resourcefulness. Or tolerance. What's your answer, teacher? That's good. Number 96 is option A. Temperance. 97. Which of the following action does not imply an intrinsically evil act? A. Stealing food done for the feeding the hungry children. Killing to defend oneself. Cheating to pass the exams. Giving alms done for purposes of building public image. What is your answer, teacher? So the answer here, 97, is option D. So options A, B, and C are all intrinsically evil, despite the good motivation. So option D, giving alms, is a good act in itself, though the motive is not good. So all of this reminds us that the end does not justify the means. So number 97 is option D. 98. How is the I and thou relationship explained as embodied in the moral law? Two persons may be soulmates. Human beings as a person is capable of loving. One person idolizes another as his or her model. A human person relates with a lifetime partner. And the answer here is... yeah, it's option B. We discussed this in Modern Philosophy. Kindly check the lecture under the course Philosophical and Ethical Foundations of Values Education. Yung kay Martin Buber. Okay, number 98 is option B. 99. Which of the following factors that does not determine the moral quality of an act? Circumstances of the act. Motive of the receiver of an act. The end of the doer or agent. Or the end of the act itself. So what's your answer, teacher? The determinants of morality are the objects of the human act, the motive of human act, and the circumstances of human act. That are the who, what, where, with whom, why, how, when. So these are circumstances. So here the answer is option B. So number 99 is option B. 100. The rationality of the human person does not help in actualizing his or her being human if he or she constantly seeks opportunities for learning. He or she builds power of reason to justify his or her mistakes. He or she seeks the truth to rectify his or her past errors and ignorance. He or she contributes for peace of mind of others. So the answer here is option B. Number 100 is option B. Yeah, did you get it, teacher? That's awesome! Well, we now come to the end of this set 3 of our drills. Please count your score and let me know how many points you got. And whatever score you got, congratulations! By the way, take this set of drills again until you get 90 points and above. It will help you increase your retention rate. And please, comment your score below. Pakilagay sa comment section, ha? I will be happy to see your progress and eventually your license. So, great job, teacher. Thank you for being with me. And do not forget to hit the like button and the subscribe button. That is a very simple way of sharing your support to this channel. And of course, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. God bless you, teacher, and see you in the next drills.